All right, we want to welcome everyone again to Path of the Just Q&A videos. We have a question for Darrio Taylor, and the question comes from Khuzma007, who asks, who are the 24 elders? So Pastor Taylor, can you give us some Bible insight on that?
Well, we're going to begin in Revelation chapter 4. Revelation chapter 4, the subject of the 24 elders is found in the book of Revelation. Revelation 4:4 says, and round about the throne were 24 seats, and upon the seats I saw 24 elders sitting, clothed in white raiment, and they had on their heads crowns of gold. So this is where we first read about the 24 elders. I want you to notice that they're clothed with white raiment and they have crowns of gold upon their head. Now, what is the significance of the white raiment and also the crowns of gold upon their head? Revelation 3:5 says, he that overcometh, the same shall be clothed in white raiment, and I will not blot out his name out of the book of life, but I will confess his name before my Father and before his angels. So Revelation 3:5 says that they're clothed with white raiment because they have overcome. Now, why do they have the crowns of gold? Chapter 2 verse 10 of Revelation says, fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days. Be thou faithful unto death, and I'll give thee a crown of life. So the white raiment, the spotless righteousness of Christ, and the crown of gold are symbols of the overcomer, which meant that they must have been on this earth where they had to experience overcoming sin, even as Christ had to overcome. When we go to Revelation chapter 5, we see them mentioned again as it continues with the introduction of the vision of the 24 elders in chapter 4. Chapter 5 verse 8 says, and when he had taken the book, the 4 beasts and 24 elders fell down before the Lamb, having every one of them harps and golden vials full of odors, which are the prayers of the saints. And they sung a new song, saying, thou art worthy to take the book and to open the seals thereof, for thou wast slain and hast redeemed us by thy blood out of every kindred and tongue and people and nation, and has made us unto our God kings and priests, and we shall reign on the earth. So the Bible tells us that based upon the blood of Christ, they've been redeemed to be kings and priests, and they're going to reign upon the earth. Now, where do we see them being redeemed on the earth and overcoming, gaining the right to have the crown of gold and the white raiment? In Matthew chapter 27, beginning in verse 52, it says, and the graves were open, and many bodies of the saints which slept arose, and came out of the graves after his resurrection, and went into the holy city, and appeared unto many. So after the resurrection of Christ, there was a resurrection of a multitude of many of the saints that slept. They too arose after his resurrection, and they went into the city and proclaimed the message that he is risen. Now Ephesians chapter 4 verse 8 tells us, wherefore he saith, when he ascended up on high, he led captivity captive and gave gifts unto men. So Jesus, as he ascended back to heaven, he led captivity captive. Who were those captive that he led? These were many of the saints that arose after his resurrection, according to Matthew 27. Now 1 Corinthians 15 verse 20, speaking about Christ being resurrected and also those that he led captivity captive, these are known as the first fruits of the great harvest of the resurrection that will take place at the end of the world. Paul puts it this way in 1 Corinthians 15:20, but now is Christ risen from the dead and become the first fruits of them that slept. Verse 23, but every man in his own order, Christ the first fruits, afterward they that are Christ at his coming. So the 24 elders were a pledge of the great harvest of the righteous that'll be raised at the end of the world when he comes back the second time in power and great glory. But the question is, why 24? Why that number? Now, that is a biblical number, and this takes us back to the sanctuary service and the Aaronic priesthood or the Levitical priesthood. In 1 Corinthians 24, verse 4, it says, and there were more chief men found of the sons of Eleazar than of the sons of Ithamar. And thus were they divided. Among the sons of Eleazar there were 16 chief men of the house of their fathers, and 8 among the sons of Ithamar according to the house of their fathers. Thus they were divided by lot, one sword with another, for the governors of the sanctuary and governors of the house of God were of the sons of Eleazar and of the sons of Ithamar. So this is where we get the 24 elders from. There were 24 priests or assistants or helpers that helped the high priest in his work. So Jesus, being the high priest after the order of Melchizedek, in fulfilling the type, he too would have 24 elders or helpers or priests in his work of intercession in the great sanctuary above for us. Well, we hope that this question of the 24 elders has been answered by the text that we have shared today. And as always, we hope and pray that your eyes have been enlightened as you've tasted a little of this honey. Yes, hello. Once again, we're coming back to you just to make a small correction on that last text concerning the 24 elders. I kept saying 1 Corinthians. We actually meant 1 Chronicles chapter 24. So you want to make a note of that. 1 Chronicles chapter 24 and not 1 Corinthians 24. Thank you very much. God bless.